All right, 20 minutes before 7 here on this Monday edition of Morning Live. It's wonderful to have you. Well, I can tell you, South Africans have woken up in a mood to argue. So let's start arguing, I suppose. And we'll find out what it is. In fact, I'm lying because nobody's really arguing. Everybody seems to be agreeing. Well, everybody that's talking about the statue that's standing there at the University of Cape Town of Cecil John Rhodes. And everybody that is agreeing is saying that this statue should be removed. And I'm referring to some of the tweets that I've been getting here this morning. This is from Mzamolanga saying, I support the idea. The statue represents pain and suffering to the black community. It must go. Vanilla is saying, hi, Leanne, it's part of history. It should stay. Okay, so there's somebody agreeing it should stay. And Rhodes innocently gave us the land at the time. All right, referring obviously to Cecil John Rhodes giving the land. Rat, that's the name of this Twitter handle, saying, if the students concentrate on learning, then they will realize that the statue must stay. Ignorance reigns on the campus. Okay, Rat, there you go. Ndumiso saying, we may not like him very much, but he is a part of our history. For how long are we going to deny our past as if it never existed? Yeah, okay, Ndumiso, thank you very much. And Ndumiso Shezipaka, that's your surname as well. Station Mwepe saying, it shows that we black people, we still have racism, and to whites, it's a trap. Okay, Station, thanks for writing in to us. Arya saying, it shouldn't be removed. The cause lacks substance and it is incredibly one-sided. That's from Arya Stark. And then just finally, one more tweet before I move on to our interview. Delinja1, this is from Nkululeko Mantash, saying, it should be removed, or it should have been removed a long time ago. We are tired of white arrogance in our land. Down with Rhodes. All right, so do you see what I mean by South Africans waking up in a very, very argumentative mood? Well, on Friday, students from the University of Cape Town had a march demanding the removal of the statue of Cecil John Rhodes. The statue, which is erected at the upper campus of the university, is one of those issues that the students have picked a bone with the university. Students say the removal of the statue at the university is a symbol of transformation, as its presence is seen as white privilege on campus and across South Africa. Right, let's find out more now, and we joined on the line this morning by Ramabina Mahapa. He is the president of the SRC at the University of Cape Town. It's wonderful to have you with us on the show, and thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. Right. From your perspective, from the SRC's perspective, why is it important that the statue is removed and taken off campus?
I mean, firstly, from outside, this is not only about the statue. It's about transformation at UCT. You look around UCT, it has a very Eurocentric setting. And the institutional symbolism, the institutional culture of UCT is very much Eurocentric. And we've been saying as students that we need to build an inclusive culture. We need to build an inclusive symbolism of the institution. When we're looking at the new democratic dispensation, one of the things that you follow with social change is also a change in the representation of black people. Because if you have to look at the setting in terms of UCT, the representation is in a negative light. And it's quite important to remove Cecil John Rhodes statue because a statue glorifies somebody, a statue pays homage to somebody. And as students, we feel that Cecil John Rhodes doesn't represent the values and the aspirations that we have in today's society.
I know that students occupied the administration offices at the university demanding for a date for the removal of the statue. You didn't quite get that date, did you? I know that there was a proposal from the vice-chancellor of the university saying that the statue be moved, not necessarily removed. Are you in agreement with this? Would this satisfy your demands?
No, it will definitely satisfy our demands. I mean, what is done with the statue afterwards, we said that, look, we don't have any particular views on that, but then the statue needs to either be removed or moved. But the students have said that, the statue should definitely not be where it is, because that's a central point in the institution, that's a focal point, and whenever you are taking a picture of the institution from the rugby field, the statue will always come up. So we have a particular problem with where the statue is. Whether it's removed or moved, it's fine.
Do you want to wipe out our history entirely? Because, you know, the reality is that Cecil John Rhodes is a part of our history, and, you know, there's been a lot of funding that has been left behind, and if it wasn't for individuals like Cecil John Rhodes, and if we do understand to some extent that, that there is a negative side to Cecil John Rhodes, but the positive side is that there is a scholarship and a lot of students are benefiting from the scholarship, and the land was left for the university, and a lot of money has been dedicated from that to education here in South Africa. Can we just wipe that out of our history and ignore something like that?
But you see, that's a false understanding, because removing a statue does not entail that you're removing the person from the history books. Stalin's statues were removed, Hitler's statues were removed, yet we still remember all those individuals today. Cecil John Rhodes statues were removed in Zimbabwe, yet we're still engaging because he's still in the curriculum, and, you know, as part of the learning process, there's a debate in society. We're then going to be able to engage on the relevance or the role that Rhodes played within society. It's not necessarily the case that if you're to remove his statue, then we're all going to forget about what he did. No, that's not necessarily the case.
Does it hamper, you know, what does it do to you? What emotions does it stir in you seeing that statue standing there? And, I mean, does it in a way hamper your studies?
I mean, the issue is identity, you know, and it's also the psychological implications of being in an institution that's very much Eurocentric, an institution that you cannot identify with. And that's a problem, you know. A lot of students, when coming to UCT, have always said that I've started feeling black when coming to UCT. You know, at my first arrival here, I did not feel welcomed by the institution because it's very much Eurocentric. And, you know, you look at the artwork that's on campus, it's very much, you know, paints black people in a negative light. You know, also students who are marginalized, who are part of the LGBTI community, students who are disabled, have also been saying, look, we need to be focusing more on transformation. We also need to see ourselves represented within the institutional symbolism of UCT. So this is a broader agenda. It's about transformation. It's about changing, you know, the institutional symbolism. It's about, you know, engaging quite rigorously at issues of transformation happening at the institution. The statue is just the first step. The statue is just the immediate focus, but then the issues are bigger than the statue.
The issues certainly are bigger than the statue because so much more has been brought up now. We are all under the impression that UCT is one of the most transformed universities here in South Africa. However, since this debate has arisen about the statue, there's been so much talk about the dissatisfaction with the institution. Let's talk about your observations. What do you feel about the university and UCT in terms of transformation?
I mean, there are certain cases where we've actually made quite excellent strides. I mean, you have a look at the student demographics. I think we're moving towards, you know, a representation that is in line with, you know, the composition or the demographics of the country. But you look at things such as staff transformation. We are lacking very much in that regard. You look at institutional symbolism. We are lacking in that regard. You look at the names of buildings, you know, because certain buildings also need to be renamed. You can't have a building by the name of Smart, by the name of Jameson Hall, you know, BT and so forth. You're looking at institutional culture. We're not yet representative. You look at curriculum, and that's also one of our core focuses, saying that the curriculum that we're having still perpetuates the former colonial narratives. And we cannot be having that in the 21st century in our new dispensation. You look at how promotions are being done. Black academics are continuously raising concerns about the lack of transformation, about institutional racism. Again, you also have the outsourced workers who are also saying that the institution is not yet transformed. So in certain parts, we've been able to transform as an institution, but then we're still lagging quite far behind. Disabled students are saying that they are not feeling welcomed at the institution. The LGBTI community are saying that the policies, the environment is not yet inclusive for them. So you can already see that there's a lot of constituencies that are dissatisfied with the institution's pace in terms of transformation.
Okay. All right. That's the issue of transformation at the university. I want to talk about the issue of human feces, though, because we understand the argument of the statue and the fact that, and we understand your viewpoint as to why the students are unhappy. But throwing human feces at a statue, I know it happened a while ago, but what's your explanation to this?
I mean, from our side, the SRC was not involved in that, or any SRC member for that matter. But what we've said as an SRC is that we need to be focusing on the issue, because the student in question might go to jail, or there might be charges pressed against him, but then the issues are still going to remain. Which means if we are addressing the issue of feces, of poo, we are only dealing with the symptoms. We are trying to deal with the cause, because each and every year something has been happening to the statue. Last year somebody put a sack over the statue. Again, it was also defaced. Somebody painted "Remember Marikana." So each and every year students have been showing that dissatisfaction with the statue. And the institution has continued to respond in the same way, being that no, unfortunately, we cannot be doing anything about this. Unfortunately, Cecil John Rhodes gave land to the institution. And I think it's now high time that we are changing that particular narrative, that particular response. So as an SRC, we said that we should not be focusing on that particular incident in terms of the method. We should be focusing on transformation and changing the things that are wrong and unjust with the institution.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. I don't want to, but I have to, because I would love you to respond to some of these tweets that I've been getting in from some of our viewers that have been coming in this morning. Some of them in support and some of them really against what you're trying to do. So, but we'll have to leave that conversation for another time. Thank you so much for joining us here on the line. One of those conversations that could go on for longer. Ramabina Mahapa is the president of the SRC at UCT. Thank you for joining us here on the program.